Welcome, and thanks for being here. If you enjoy sci-fi with real tension, human choices, and a little grit, you are in the right place. Settle in, keep your headphones close, and let the story pull you forward. High above a dim dwarf planet, a dead relay station drifted in slow silence. Its skin was scorched, its windows black, and its shadow slid across the dust-colored curve below like a bruise that would not heal. Rowan Pike floated near the docking ring with a tether line tied around his waist. He was an independent rescue contractor by license, and a quiet problem solver by nature. That meant he got called when people needed a door opened and did not want questions afterward. He had not come for salvage. He had come because a distress ping slipped through the noise. It was faint enough to be a mistake, and precise enough to feel like a hand tapping once on glass. Rowan watched his suit gauge tick down with steady patience. The station was supposed to be dead, but dead things did not ask for help. His ship, the Hallow Finch, held position behind him, small and stubborn against the void. Its lights painted thin bars across the station's hull, then vanished into soot and microcraters. Rowan set his gloved hand on the manual latch and waited for resistance. The docking port did not respond at first, as if it was deciding whether he deserved entry. He pushed again with steady pressure and no drama. The latch gave with a reluctant shudder, and the hatch slid open a finger width. A breath of stale air leaked out, cold and metallic, as if the station had been holding it for a long time. Rowan did not rush inside, because rushing was how you died. He keyed his lamp to a low beam and eased through the gap. Behind him, the tether line pulled like a reminder that there was still a way back. The corridor inside was narrow and stripped, its walls scarred by heat and pry marks. Loose panels floated in lazy spirals, and a smear of frost clung to a pipe bend like white mold. Rowan's boots touched the deck with a soft thud as his suit magnets found what little steel remained. The station's gravity was barely there, a shallow tug that felt more like suggestion than law. His lamp caught a smear on the wall, not old smoke and not rust. It was a handprint that looked faint and fresh. Rowan paused and listened with his whole body. The station creaked slow and deep, as if it disliked being awake. Then he heard a sound that did not belong to drifting debris. A small scrape came first, then a sharper knock, like something bumping a door from the other side. Rowan moved toward it without haste. His face stayed calm, and his mind was already mapping exits. A sign plate had been ripped away, leaving only screws and a pale rectangle. The door was half bent, warped by force, but still shut. Rowan pressed his palm against the seal. The metal felt colder there, like it was drinking heat. "If you sent the ping, move away from the door," Rowan said through his helmet mic. Nothing answered, no cry and no pleading. Only a shallow, uneasy silence sat on the other side. Rowan lifted his cutter, not the loud kind and not the kind that threw sparks. It was a small tool meant for patience. He traced the seam in a slow line. The door seal hissed, then released with a tired sigh. Rowan pulled the door open, ready for anything from a corpse to a trap. A figure was inside, folded against the wall behind a broken cabinet. She was thin and wrapped in layered fabric. She breathed in short pulls that sounded like someone trying not to be heard. Rowan's lamp caught her face for a heartbeat. She was not human, close enough to feel familiar, and far enough to make the brain notice. High cheek lines framed dark eyes. Her skin was the color of pale stone under blue light. She flinched but did not run. Instead, she raised one hand, palm out, fingers trembling. Rowan lowered the lamp beam so it did not blind her. He shifted his stance so his body blocked the corridor behind him. "I'm Rowan Pike," Rowan said. "Rescue contractor. You sent the ping." "Yes," the alien woman said, swallowing like it hurt. "Can you walk?" Rowan asked. "Not fast," she said. "And not that way." Rowan did not look back yet. "What's that way?" he asked. "A hatch," she said. "It opens to a service shaft." The shaft has no pressure, she said. Someone said it. If you open it, you die. Rowan nodded once, as if she had told him the weather. Good to know, he said. He stepped closer, slow, giving her room to breathe. Name? He asked. Sail Rhine, she said. Navigator. Rowan heard the word and filed it away without comment. All right, Sail. We're leaving, he said. Sail's shoulders tensed. She stared at the corridor again, then whispered, they are here. Rowan's voice stayed even. Who is they? He asked. Before she could answer, the station spoke for her. A dull boom rolled through the corridor, like a docking clamp slamming shut. The deck vibrated under Rowan's boots, and dust shook loose from a ceiling seam. Sail's breath hitched. That, Sail said. Rowan turned his head slightly and listened. A second sound followed, metallic and sharp, like boots catching on stripped decking. Rowan did not run because running made noise. Noise told hunters where to aim their attention. He extended one hand toward Sail. Stand. Use me, he said. Sail took his forearm with a grip stronger than her frame suggested. She rose with a controlled sway, favoring her right leg. Rowan glanced at her ankle. It was swollen and bruised, not broken, but close. Can you keep weight on it? Rowan asked. If I must, Sail said, jaw tight. Rowan gave her a small nod back, approval without comfort. You must, he said. They moved into the corridor, Rowan in front, lamp low, cutter ready. The tether line trailed behind him like a silent tail. The station's lights were dead, but emergency strips still glowed in faint pulses. The air tasted like old batteries and dry metal. Rowan kept them near the wall as the corridor curved left toward a junction where three branches met. Sail gripped his arm tighter as they approached. Do not go toward the red stripe, Sail said. That is the shaft. Rowan saw the marking, a faded red band along the frame. Someone had added fresh scratches beside it, a crude arrow. It was a trap, and not a subtle one. Rowan chose the other corridor, the one that dipped slightly downward toward the inner ring. They took 10 steps before the first pressure change hit. It was not loud, just a sudden pull at the suit seals. A cold lick brushed Rowan's neck as air tried to run away. Frost formed on a pipe seam ahead and spread. In a fast web. Seal breach, Sail said with a sharp gasp. Rowan lifted his hand and touched the wall. He felt a vibration that did not match the station's normal creak. Stay close, Rowan said. When the air moves, we move opposite it. You can feel that? Sail asked, eyes widening. Rowan gave the smallest shrug. You learn, he said. The corridor opened into a maintenance bay filled with broken crates floating in slow arcs. A long cable swayed like a hanging vine. Rowan paused at the threshold. He saw a smear of fresh oil on the deck leading toward a side door. It was not oil from a machine. It was too thick, and too warm. Someone had passed here recently, and not carefully. Rowan stepped in and grabbed the swinging cable, stopping its motion. Loose movement could give them away. From the far side of the bay, a voice called out. Easy now, the voice said. No need to hide. Rowan froze, not from fear, but from calculation. A man stepped from behind a crate stack. He was not human, but closer than Sail, with broad shoulders and a heavy jaw. His eyes looked like wet stones. He wore a patched pressure vest and carried a compact launcher across his chest. Two more shapes appeared behind him, flanking wide and practiced. Rowan placed them fast, boarders, not military, opportunists with tools. The leader smiled, showing flat teeth. Name's Brack Sorn, Brack said. Doc Wolves. You're on our station. Rowan kept his lamp low, beam aimed at the deck. It's not your station, he said. Everything someone station until the someone stops breathing, Brack said with a chuckle. Sail leaned behind Rowan, but her eyes stayed locked on Brack with a hate older than this corridor. Brack noticed her and lifted his eyebrows. Well now, Brack said. That's the prize. Brack took a step closer, boots clamping hard. His voice was light, but his movement said shove first and talk later. Hand her over, Brack said. You walk out. Simple. Rowan kept his cutter down. No, he said. Brack laughed once. Then you die, he said. Rowan's reply was flat. You first, he said. A deep tremor rolled through the bay. Frost crawled up the wall beside the door, and the station's temperature dropped another notch. Rowan lifted his free hand, palm open, slow, like surrender. Brack's launcher. Tracked the movement. Rowan pointed past Brack at a ceiling seen behind them. What is that? Rowan asked. Brack's head turned on reflex. Rowan moved in the same heartbeat. He shoved a loose crate into open space between them. Then he pulled Sail hard to the left, sliding them into the shadow of a support beam. The first shot hit the crate with a dull, heavy impact. The second shot cracked a wall panel, and air screamed out through the tier. A violent gust yanked dust and debris toward the breach. Loose fragments became a moving storm, and the dock wolves shouted as their footing went uncertain. Rowan used the chaos. He pushed Sail down a narrow service aisle behind the crate stacks, magnets thudding faster. Sail's limp worsened, but she did not fall. Pain made her jaw tight, and her eyes sharp. Brack shouted behind them, angry and startled. Cut them off. Around, he barked. Rowan heard boots clamping from two directions. They were trying to hurt him, not chase him, which meant the station still had routes he did not. He reached a junction and stopped for 1 second. 3 corridors branched out, and the air itself helped him decide. The left corridor carried a faint draft, cold and fast. The center smelled like old lubricant and burned wiring, while the right felt still, too still. Not the right, Sail said, grabbing his sleeve. It leads to a shaft. Rowan nodded and moved left into the cold draft. The pull grew stronger as air rushed away, and frost thickened on pipe bends. Brack's crew appeared at the far end, then stepped back when they felt the corridor turning into a purge lane. They were waiting for the station to kill for them. Rowan scanned the floor and saw a maintenance trench under grates along the left edge. The dust pattern on those grates was broken in a straight line, used recently. Rowan ripped the grates up with his hands and exposed the trench. Cold air spilled from it, but not as violent, which meant it connected to a pressurized pocket. Down, Rowan said. My ankle, Sail said, staring at the gap. Rowan's face did not change. Then crawl, he said. Sail lowered herself, grimacing, and slid into the trench. Rowan followed, shoving the grates back into place above them. He did not fully close it, just enough to hide the opening in blowing frost. Inside the trench, the air was tight and stale. Metal pressed close on both sides, and the sound of the corridor became distant. The grates vibrated faintly with the station's shifting breath. Sail's breathing sped up. She was trying not to panic, but panic was natural in a box. Breathe slow, Rowan said. If you burn air, they win. I am not afraid of dying, Sail said. Rowan's reply came dry and quiet. Good. Be afraid of failing, he said. Above them, footsteps clanged and stopped. Brack's voice filtered through the grates, distorted by wind. They went down, Brack said. Find the cover. Get the hatch. Don't let them slip. Rowan kept crawling as the trench bent and dipped. The cold lessened, which meant they were moving away from the purge zone. Sail's hand found Rowan's wrist in the dark, gripping hard. Stop, she whispered. Rowan stopped, listening. A faint clicking came from ahead, like a small tool tapping metal. Not debris and not settling. It was deliberate. Rowan angled his lamp beam low and saw a thin wire stretched across the trench. A trip line. Rowan did not cut it, because cutting could trigger what it fed. He traced the wire to an anchor plate screwed in at an angle, with clean new screw heads. Trap designer work, not brute work. Rowan slid his cutter tip under the plate and lifted it just enough to slip the wire free without snapping it. The clicking stopped. Sail stared at him in the cramped dark, and her expression said she had not believed humans could be that careful. "You said you were a navigator," Rowan said. "Yes," Sail whispered. "Then navigate," Rowan said. "Tell me where this trench exits." Sail closed her eyes for a beat, recalling the station layout like a prayer. "It should climb into a utility room near the inner ring, if it has not been sealed," she said. The trench sloped upward, and the air grew slightly cleaner. They reached a hatch and pushed it open into a cramped utility room lined with old tanks and tired valves. Rowan slid out first and hauled Sail up after him. He shut the hatch behind them and listened. The clanging had drifted away, but not far. Brack and his people were still hunting, and the station was still changing. Rowan swept his lamp across the floor and saw dust pushed in a rough half-circle. It looked like someone had cleared space for a struggle and then left in a hurry. In the corner, a vent grill sat slightly crooked with one screw missing. A faint, steady breath of air flowed from behind it. "If we share it, we can both reach your ship," Sail said, and her voice sounded like hunger. Rowan did not answer right away. He moved to a dented emergency air canister lying near the tanks and checked the seal. It looked fine, but the canister felt too warm, as if handled recently. Sail's eyes stayed on it like it was a lifeboat. "We do not have time," Sail said. "We have time for one mistake," Rowan said. "That's it." Rowan pulled a thin strip of tape from his pack and pressed it to the canister's dented side. The tape fluttered, barely. A tiny leak, not enough to ruin it, but enough to shorten its promise. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "They want us to trust this," Rowan said. "We have nothing else," Sail said, shoulders sagging. "We have choices," Rowan said. "Choices are not air," Sail said. The hatch behind them rattled and a heavy slam hit metal. The lever shuddered, and Brack's voice came through muffled and close. "Open it," Brack said. "You don't get out. You get tired." Sail's breathing turned fast. Rowan knelt and took Sail's injured ankle in both hands, inspecting quickly. The swelling had grown, skin tight and hot. Sail flinched. "It is nothing," Sail said. "It is a clock," Rowan said. "A clock?" Sail asked. "Pain slows you," Rowan said. "Slow burns air. Air runs out." He tightened a compact wrap around her ankle, firm and clean. Sail bit down on a sound, then forced her breathing even. Rowan clipped the emergency canister to Sail's belt anyway. He did it like a tool with a cost, not like a gift. "No," Sail said. "You need it more." "I can move faster without it," Rowan said. "You can't." Sail's voice cracked. "Then you are deciding I live and you die." "I'm deciding we keep moving," Rowan said. "You do not know me," Sail said, anger and fear mixing. "I know they want you more than they want me," Rowan said. Sail's hands trembled as she touched the canister clip. "You think that means I am important?" "It means you are inconvenient," Rowan said. "Inconvenient to who?" Sail asked. Rowan did not answer. He pried the vent grill loose and exposed a narrow crawl space, dusty and barely large enough for one person. The air coming from it was cleaner than the room air. Sail's hope rose, then faltered. "That is too small," Sail said. "We cannot both go." Rowan glanced at the hatch shaking under Brack's pounding. Then he looked at Sail's ankle again. "You go first," Rowan said. Sail shook her head immediately. "No. If I go first, you cannot stop them from grabbing you." "Then don't stop to watch," Rowan said. "You are cold," Sail said. "I'm focused," Rowan said. Sail grabbed his sleeve and pulled him close. "If you die here because of me, I will not forgive myself," she whispered. Rowan paused for a fraction of a second as the station's creaks filled the room like a heartbeat. Then he answered in the same calm tone. "Then don't die," Rowan said. "Move." Sail hesitated, then climbed into the crawl space, dragging her injured ankle with a sharp inhale. Rowan watched her go, posture calm like a wall. Behind him, the hatch slammed again and the lever bent. Rowan braced his shoulder into the hatch and held it with body weight. Sail's voice came faint from the crawl space. "Rowan. Hurry. Keep crawling," Rowan said. Brack's voice rose on the other side. "You're strong. But the station is stronger." Rowan muttered a dry line, so low only he would hear it. "So am I," he said. Then he let the hatch go and shoved himself into the crawl space after Sail. He pulled the grill partly back into place behind them. The hatch burst inward a second later, but it was too late. The dock wolves had air and anger, but they had lost the clean line of pursuit. They crawled in darkness with metal close on both sides. The space smelled like old insulation and dried coolant. Rowan moved by feel, one hand forward, knees sliding, suit fabric scraping softly. Sail crawled ahead, slower but steady. Behind them, a harsh clang sounded as Brack reached the panel. Rowan heard scratching, then a muffled curse, and the cover shifted. Rowan crawled faster and tapped Sail's boot once. "Keep going," he said. "There is a junction ahead," Sail said, voice strained. "Two ways." "Which one?" Rowan asked. "Left goes to the comm spine," Sail said. "Right goes to life support." Rowan did not hesitate. "Life support," he said. They turned right, and the crawl space sloped downward. Gravity grew weaker, then stronger again as the station's rotation wobbled. A sudden roar of air rushed past them. The walls grew cold, and Rowan felt his suit seals tug. Sail cried out, short and sharp, then bit it off. "Pressure drop," she hissed. Rowan's helmet alarm chirped, and his suit gauge dipped, not from time but from leakage. The vent shook once, like the station had coughed. They burst out into another cramped utility room and Rowan slammed the hatch shut. He locked it with a manual lever and held still to listen. Old tanks lined the walls and a narrow door sat opposite. Rowan spotted a second emergency reserve, smaller and older, tucked behind a pipe bracket. He picked it up and checked it fast. The seal held, but the casing was scuffed like it had been moved in haste. Sail watched his hands and swallowed. Her eyes were hungry, not for food, but for air. The hatch behind them rattled again, and the lever shuddered under a different rhythm of force. Brack sounded close, but not as close as before, which meant the station's map was shifting. "If we share it, we can both reach your ship," Sail said again, softer now. Rowan shook his head once. "We will use it, but we will not worship it," he said. He clipped the reserve to Sail and tested the narrow door. It opened with a reluctant scrape, and colder air spilled in. They moved into a cleaner corridor closer to the inner ring. Clean corridors meant control, and control meant someone else had planned this. Sail limped beside him, breathing steadier with the reserve backup. Her eyes sharpened too, and Rowan felt her thinking. They reached a wide chamber where cables hung from the ceiling like black vines. A circular hatch sat in the center, sealed by a heavy wheel. "Below is a service core," Sail said. "It has pressure, if it still works." Rowan crouched and set his hands on the wheel. It was cold and faintly vibrating, like something alive behind it. He turned with steady force. The seal resisted, then released with a tired sigh. The hatch opened and colder air rose from below, but it was breathable, not vacuum. Rowan gestured. Down, Rowan said. Sail climbed first, careful with her ankle. Rowan followed and pulled the hatch nearly closed behind them, leaving a small gap so it would not lock. They descended into a shaft with ladder rungs and a narrow landing. The air smelled less stale here, more like damp metal, as if filters had run not long ago. Rowan's lamp caught a fresh mark on the landing wall, a line drawn with dark grease. Sail saw it too, and her face went pale. They marked routes, Sail said. Rowan kept his voice even. Who is they? He asked. Sail hesitated, then spoke like ripping a bandage. Not the dock wolves. They are scavengers. They follow the scent, she said. The ones who put me here are quieter. Rowan waited and let silence do its work. Sail kept going, because she needed to be believed. They move people, Sail said. They erase traces. They do not leave survivors. Rowan kept moving, but the words hung in the air like weight. Quieter meant trained, and erase meant no one was supposed to talk. They took the others, Sail said. They said it was transport. They said it was mercy. Rowan did not ask for details. Details could turn into a story that got people killed for listening. What did you see? Rowan asked. Faces, Sail said. Routes. A docking schedule. A name that was spoken once. Rowan's posture stiffened by a fraction. Whose name? He asked. Pavel Quor, Sail said. Rowan kept walking, but that fraction mattered. Sail noticed it and latched on. You know that name, Sail said. I've heard it, Rowan said. Then you know why they will kill me, Sail said. I know why they would try, Rowan said. Try. Sail snapped. Rowan, they already killed people. Rowan stopped at a corner and put one gloved hand on the wall. He leaned in and listened for footsteps through metal. Then he turned his head toward Sail, calm voice carrying a hard edge. Sail, if you want to live, stop telling me stories and tell me what helps us move. Sail stared, stunned, then her face hardened. You think I am wasting air? Yes, Rowan said. Sail's eyes flashed, hurt sharp enough to cut. You are not the only one who can be cold. Rowan did not argue. He turned back toward the corridor and moved. Sail followed with jaw clenched. Her silence now was not calm, but it was still movement, and that was what mattered. They passed a junction where the station's hum grew louder. Rowan felt vibration through his boots as internal seals shifted again. If we reach your ship, what happens to me? Sail asked. Rowan checked the corridor ahead, then answered without looking at her. We leave. And then you drop me somewhere? Sail asked. You get paid? You disappear. Rowan's reply was blunt. If you have enemies like that, staying near me is not safe. So you are saving me to abandon me, Sail said. Rowan stopped and turned fully. His face stayed unreadable, but his voice was controlled and precise. I'm saving you to keep you alive, Rowan said. After that, you choose. Sail's eyes trembled. You say I choose, but you are already deciding. I decide what I can control, Rowan said. You can do the same. They moved again and the corridor widened into a room with a transparent panel showing the dwarf planet's curve. Dust storms rolled below like slow smoke. Sail stared at the planet for a heartbeat. I miss home, she whispered. Rowan's voice lowered. Where is home? He asked. A river city on Velis Arca, Sail said. Far from here. Rowan nodded once and stored the name. He did not ask for more. Rowan, Sail said. Tell me something true. What? Rowan asked. If they come, and you can only save one person, will you save me? Sail asked. Rowan stared at her for a long half-second. The station creaked, and the sound filled the space where a lie could have lived. I will save the person I can reach, Rowan said. Sail flinched like the words had weight. So I am not special. I didn't say that, Rowan said. Then say what you mean, Sail said. I mean I will not promise what physics might deny, Rowan said. That is not love, Sail said. That is not trust. Trust is moving when I tell you to move, Rowan said. Trust is not asking me to swear against the universe. Sail stared at him, shoulders slumping as anger drained into exhaustion. She nodded once, reluctant. Fine, Sail said. A boot hit metal above them, then another. Rowan looked up and listened again. Accidents end. Fast, Rowan said. They moved deeper into the service core where pipes ran along the walls and small fans hummed faintly. The sound was weak, but it proved the station still had lungs. They passed a sealed door with a small window, and Rowan glanced through. Blankets and empty food packs lay scattered inside. Someone has been living here, Rowan said. This was my hiding room, Sail said. Rowan kept moving. And, he asked. And it did not save the others, Sail said, voice turning bitter. The corridor opened into a larger junction. In the center stood a device bolted to the floor, patched and wired into the station's ribs. Rowan stared at it, because it looked too new for a dead station. Sail's eyes widened, fear sharpening into certainty. They installed that, Sail said. Rowan moved closer and scanned the cables without touching them. The lines disappeared into sealed conduits, as if the station had grown new veins. They can purge air, Sail said. They can pull vacuum on sections. Rowan nodded once. That's how they heard prey. A thud echoed above, closer now. The dock wolves were coming down. Rowan scanned the junction and chose a corridor angled toward the docking arm, guided by old geometry. Dead stations still obeyed shape. They moved faster, and the corridor walls began to tremble. A low hum rose like a generator waking. They are activating the purge, Sail said. Rowan felt the pull at his shoulders as air shifted. The station was emptying a lung, and it was doing it with purpose. Rowan grabbed Sail's hand, not her arm this time. Run, he said. They ran, magnets thudding, breath loud in helmets. Behind them, a heavy door slammed down and cut off the dock wolves. Rowan heard Brack's muffled shout, angry and surprised. Sail looked back, eyes wide. That was not them, Sail said. No, Rowan said. They reached a bend and found the next corridor blocked by a wall panel dropped from the ceiling. It was deliberate, too tight to squeeze and too heavy to lift. They trapped us, Sail said. Rowan stared at the panel, then down at the deck. A narrow maintenance trench ran along the floor edge under grates. He ripped the grates free and exposed the trench. It was tight, but it ran under the dropped panel. Can you crawl? Rowan asked. Sail's eyes flicked to her ankle and pain flashed. Then she nodded once. Yes, Sail said. Rowan went first, sliding into the trench and pulling forward by elbows. Sail followed, face tense and breathing controlled. Halfway through, the trench vibrated. Air above them thinned fast, and the sound changed, higher and sharper. Vacuum purge, Sail whispered. Rowan pushed harder, elbows scraping. His suit seals tugged as pressure tried to equalize. They burst out into a small chamber and Rowan yanked Sail out. He slammed the hatch shut behind them and braced it with his forearm. Through a narrow window, Rowan saw the corridor behind turn into a killing lane. Debris floated freely, with no gravity and no air. Sail stared, horror quiet. If we were 2 seconds slower, we would be dead. We weren't, Rowan said. A soft chime rose from a wall speaker that should not have power. A voice came through, calm and measured. "Rowan Pike," the voice said. "You are persistent." Rowan stiffened. He did not like voices that knew his name. "They know you," Sale said. "Who are you?" Rowan asked, speaking toward the speaker. "A friend of Order," the voice said. "Order kills a lot of people," Rowan said. "Return Sale Rhine and you may leave," the voice said. Sale flinched at hearing her name spoken like a label. Her hand tightened on the air canister strap. "No," Rowan said. A pause followed, like the voice was testing new leverage. "Your license can be restored. Your ship can be cleared. Your past can remain quiet." Rowan almost smiled, but it never reached his face. "So you do know me?" Sale whispered, stunned. "What past?" Rowan did not answer her yet. "You're offering paperwork." "I don't care." "Then I offer survival," the voice said. "The station will be purged section by section. You will run out of air," the voice said. "You will fail." Rowan leaned close to Sale. "This is the trap designer," he said. "Not the brute." Sale's eyes trembled. "There is also one above them. A decision maker." Rowan nodded once. "There always is." "You have 5 minutes before the next purge," the voice said. Rowan looked at Sale. "We move now." They pushed out into a narrow passage toward the docking arm. Gravity tugged harder now, and the corridor looked cleaner, which made Rowan more wary. They reached a cross corridor with a transparent panel. The dwarf planet's gray curve filled the view, dust storms moving like slow smoke. "I thought I would die here," Sale said. "You still might," Rowan said. "You say that like it is nothing," Sale said. "It's not nothing," Rowan said, voice dry with a brief crack of humor that did not soften his eyes. "It's just common." A door ahead slid shut with a heavy final sound. The seal light flickered, then steadied. Rowan stopped and scanned. 2 side passages branched off, and one had fresh scuff marks. Rowan chose the passage without marks. It led into a machine room where fans still barely turned. The air here was warmer, and that warmth felt like a lie. In the center, a crate sat open with pressure masks and emergency filters. Rowan froze. "Bait. It could save us," Sale said, staring at the masks like a starving person staring at food. "It could slow us until the purge hits," Rowan said. "Then what do we do?" Sale asked. Rowan studied the room and the vents. He spotted a vent cover with one screw missing, opened recently and closed fast. "We go there," Rowan said. "You see everything," Sale said. "No," Rowan said. "I just look." A chime sounded again. A new voice spoke, closer to human cadence and colder in its calm. "Rowan Pike, you are now interfering with protected operations," the voice said. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "And you are?" "Karis Knox," the voice said. "I will offer you one clean exit." "Leave the station," Karis Knox said. "Sale stays." Sale went pale. "That is the direct hunter. The one who comes when others fail." "I'm not leaving her," Rowan said. "You are not in control of that," Karis Knox said. Rowan pried the vent cover loose with his cutter tip. A rush of warmer air hit his faceplate. The vent was wide enough to crawl and angled toward the docking arm region, guided by airflow. Rowan gestured to Sale. "Go," Rowan said. Sale hesitated, then grabbed his wrist. "Rowan." "What?" Rowan asked. "If they catch you, they will erase you too," Sale said. "Maybe," Rowan said. "Why are you doing this?" Sale asked. Rowan paused as the station hummed around them. "Because I don't like bullies," he said. Sale flinched, softness crossing her face like she wanted to believe it. Rowan pushed her gently toward the vent. "Move," Rowan said. Sail climbed in, dragging her injured ankle with a suppressed gasp. Rowan followed and pulled the cover partly back into place behind them. They crawled through the vent as metal slammed somewhere behind. Rowan's suit gauge ticked down, steady and unforgiving. The vent widened and dropped into an access bay. Rowan slid down and caught Sail as she lowered herself, careful and controlled. They landed in a corridor that smelled of lubricant and old paint. Sail looked around, disoriented. "We are close to the docking arm," Sail said. Rowan nodded. He could feel the structure change, tighter and reinforced. Footsteps echoed ahead, slow and confident. Rowan lifted his lamp and aimed low. A figure stepped into view at the far end, tall and slim, wearing a pressure coat too clean for this station. A hood shadowed the face, and eyes reflected Rowan's lamp like small mirrors. The figure raised one hand, palm open. "Rowan Pike," it said, calm and almost conversational. Rowan's voice stayed flat. "Karis Knox." Karis nodded once, acknowledging competence. "You are making this harder than it needs to be." "You're making it exactly what it is," Rowan said, shifting Sail behind him. Karis's gaze flicked to Sail. "Sail Rhine, you were told to stay quiet." "I did," Sail said. "And they killed the others anyway." "Orders are not feelings," Karis said. Rowan's tone turned colder. "Then you should be fine with dying." For the first time, Karis's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. That was almost humor. Rowan answered dry. "Don't get attached." The corridor lights flickered. A low hiss rose from vents along the walls. Sail's eyes widened. "Purge gas." Rowan did not ask what kind. He grabbed Sail's hand and sprinted toward a side door halfway down the corridor. Karis moved too, cutting the angle with practiced efficiency. Rowan slammed his shoulder into the side door, expecting a lock. It swung inward. Someone had left it for him. Rowan pulled Sail inside and found a narrow equipment locker with a second door at the far end. The hiss grew louder outside and Rowan's suit filters ticked into higher draw. The air changed again, turning drier and thinner. Rowan shoved Sail through the far door into a maintenance tunnel and shut a narrow hatch behind them. The hatch did not lock, but it broke the line of sight. Sail's breathing turned ragged. "It burns," Sail said. "Keep breathing through the filter," Rowan said. "It is not enough," Sail said. The tunnel sloped down into a ring corridor where the station's rotation pulled harder. Gravity would help them move faster, but a fall would hurt more. Rowan led Sail into the ring corridor with handrails on both walls. Debris pressed against one side like a tide line, and the hiss followed them with steady intent. Behind them, a door slammed. Karis had closed off the maintenance tunnel and shaped the map. Ahead, a narrow bridge spanned a gap with missing panels, and beneath it a service void opened into darkness. Sail stared, fear rising. "We cannot cross fast," Sail said. Rowan watched the corridor itself. The station's rotation was uneven, and the handrails vibrated slightly. A slow lurch came and the corridor tilt changed by a small angle. Loose debris began to slide. A chime sounded, almost polite. Karis's voice came through, "Close now." "You are being guided toward the bridge," Karis said. Rowan answered calm. "So you admit it." "You are not the first to run," Karis said. "You will not be the first to fall." "Rowan," Sail said, voice trembling. "If the bridge breaks, we die." Rowan nodded once. "Then we don't let it break under us." "How?" Sail asked. Rowan's one line came dry. "By not being on it when it breaks." He pulled Sail to the left wall and climbed a maintenance ladder to an overhead catwalk. Rowan hauled Sail up fast, and she hissed as her ankle caught a rung, but she did not stop. From the catwalk, Rowan saw the bridge's center more clearly. A thin cable lay across it, nearly invisible. "A tension trigger," Rowan said. "They want you to step there," Sale said. "Yes," Rowan said. Rowan spotted a maintenance winch bolted to the catwalk rail, old but intact. He tested it and it moved, stiff but workable. He clipped the winch line to Sale's belt and pointed to the far platform beyond the bridge. "You cross up here." "What about you?" Sale asked. Rowan watched Karis's shadow moving below, steady and confident. Karis stepped into view beneath them and looked up, eyes calm. "You are clever," Karis said. "It will not matter." Rowan spoke to Sale, voice low. "When you reach the far platform, pull the winch." Sale's breath shook. "You are not coming with me." "Not yet," Rowan said. Sale grabbed his sleeve. "Rowan. Please." Rowan's tone shifted, quieter. "I will be there. Move." Sale crossed the catwalk one careful step at a time. The winch line stayed taut and took strain off her ankle. Rowan grabbed a loose metal panel from the catwalk floor. He tossed it down onto the bridge, aiming for the exact center. The panel struck and the cable snapped taut. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the bridge's center supports released and folded inward like a jaw closing. Metal shrieked sharp, and panels tore free into the service void. A gust of air roared upward, pulling dust and frost into a spiral. Sale cried out from the far platform. "Rowan." Rowan stayed on the catwalk and looked down at Karis. Karis had stepped forward at the same moment, expecting them on the bridge. The collapse forced Karis to stop short. For the first time, calm cracked into a flash of anger. "Bad map," Rowan said. "You will pay," Karis said. Rowan sprinted along the catwalk and reached the far platform. He grabbed Sale's shoulder. "Go," Rowan said. Sale's eyes were wet. "You came back." Rowan's voice stayed steady. "I said I would." They ran into the next corridor and the hiss behind them faded for a moment. It felt like the station was recalibrating its next purge. Rowan felt pain throb in his forearm from hauling Sale and moving fast. He did not mention it. "My lungs," Sale whispered. Rowan shoved a door open into a maintenance tunnel barely lit by emergency strips. The air was thinner, but clean. Footsteps followed behind, steady and unhurried. Karis did not need to rush, because time was on his side. Rowan's mind worked fast. He could not outrun Karis forever with Sale injured and the station itself trying to kill them. So he needed to change the game with physics and greed. The tunnel opened into a wide bay where the docking arm connected to the station. The Hallow Finch was visible through a cracked viewport, a small shape against the void. Rowan felt relief, but he did not trust it. Between them and the docking arm, debris floated in slow motion. Spinning panels and broken rails hung like a graveyard in orbit. "We cannot cross that fast," Sale said, despair flashing. Rowan scanned the bay and saw a tether launcher on a wall rack. Old but functional, with a spool of line beside it. He grabbed it and tested the trigger. Karis's voice echoed from the tunnel behind, calm and approaching. "Rowan, last warning." Rowan aimed the launcher at a structural beam near the docking arm and fired. The hook shot across, line unspooling, and caught with a solid clang. Rowan clipped the line to Sale's belt first. "Hold tight. You will send me first?" Sale asked, eyes wide. Rowan nodded once. "You are lighter. You go. I keep the line steady. If I fall?" Sale asked. Rowan's voice stayed flat. "Don't." Sale stepped into the debris field, feet searching for purchase on a drifting panel. Rowan kept tension on the tether, letting it support her balance. Sale moved slowly but steadily with eyes locked on the docking arm. The station groaned again and debris shifted, bumping and changing paths. Karis stepped into the bay behind Rowan with a compact coil launcher held low. He did not point it yet. "You can still walk away," Karis said. "Leave her and you keep your ship." Rowan did not turn. "I keep my ship either way." "You underestimate what is coming," Karis said. Rowan glanced back just enough. "I'm from a world that specializes in what's coming." Karis's eyes narrowed. "Then you should know when to retreat." Rowan's reply was quiet and sharp. "Retreat is for people with air." Karis raised his launcher and Rowan moved first. Rowan yanked a loose panel off a rack and hurled it into the debris field, not at Karis but into the moving maze. The panel struck another piece, and a chain of slow collisions began. Debris drifted into new positions, and Sail cried out as a panel bumped her shoulder. Rowan tightened the tether and stabilized her. Karis took a step forward, then paused as the shifting field forced recalculation. Rowan used the second to move into the debris himself. He stepped onto a drifting beam with controlled magnet taps, tether line between him and Sail like a lifeline. Karis followed into the field with training bay confidence. Rowan watched Karis's feet. Karis moved with precision, but precision assumed stability. Rowan did not need stability, only chaos he could predict. Rowan fired a second tether hook sideways into a rotating panel. The hook caught, and the panel's rotation jerked. The sudden tension yanked it into Karis's path. Karis dodged fast. But it forced him onto a narrower beam. Rowan saw the beam's edge was cracked with old stress fractures. Rowan stepped onto a nearby panel and nudged it with a controlled kick, adding momentum. The panel drifted and bumped the cracked beam. The beam flexed, and the crack widened with a silent, ugly motion. Karis looked down and realized too late. Rowan spoke one calm sentence. "Your station is breaking." The beam snapped and Karis dropped, magnets tearing free. He floated for a heartbeat, then slammed into another piece of debris. Karis caught himself, but his launcher spun away and drifted out of reach. Rowan did not go for the weapon. He went for Sail. Sail was 2 steps from the docking arm now, fingers reaching for a handhold. Rowan pulled the tether line and guided her last movement. Sail grabbed the docking arm rail and clamped on with desperate strength. Rowan followed, stepping onto the docking arm structure. He reached Sail and gripped her shoulder. "Hold," Rowan said. Sail nodded, eyes shining with fear and something like gratitude. Behind them, Karis steadied himself on debris and recovered. He did not look panicked. He looked annoyed, and that was worse. A new chime came through the station speakers, softer and higher authority. A voice spoke smooth and distant, like someone who never entered dirty corridors. "Rowan Pike," the voice said. "This is Director Havelkor." Sail's face drained of color. "The decision maker." Rowan's jaw tightened. "I don't care who you are. You have taken property belonging to protected interests," Kor said. "Return Sail Rhine and you will be compensated." "She's not property," Rowan said. "In practice, she is," Kor said, tone cooling. Rowan clipped Sail's tether line to the docking arm rail. "Keep moving to my ship," he said. Sail hesitated, eyes locked on his visor. "Come with me." "I will," Rowan said. Sail did not fully believe him, but she moved, limping along the arm toward the Hallow Finch. Rowan stayed behind for a half-breath, eyes on Karis and the debris field. "You have one final choice," Kor said. "Give her up, or you lose everything." Rowan answered quietly. "I already lost things." "Then you will lose more," Kor said, and for the first time his voice held a thin edge. The station shuddered violently and the docking arm flexed under Rowan's boots. A debris storm began. As pressure and rotation fought, shedding parts like silent blades. Panels and rails broke loose and drifted into the arm path. Sail cried out ahead as metal scraped her shoulder, and she staggered but did not fall. Rowan sprinted forward and placed his body between her and the incoming debris. He shoved a loose rail aside with his forearm and pain lanced through his suit. "You are hurt," Sale said. "Keep moving," Rowan said. Karis called from behind, "Closer now," and regained. "Rowan, stop." Rowan did not turn. He guided Sale toward the ship's hatch. The Hallow Finch's docking collar was aligned, but clamp lights blinked erratically. The station was shifting too much. Rowan grabbed the manual clamp lever and yanked it. The collar shuddered, then locked with a heavy click. Sale stepped into the hatch, breath shaking. She turned back. "Rowan." Rowan shoved her inside. "Go to the seat. Strap in." Sale hesitated, then obeyed, limping into the ship's narrow interior. Rowan turned back toward the docking arm. Karis stepped onto the arm now, moving fast despite the chaos. He held a blade tool, not a gun, a hunter adapting. Rowan lifted his cutter like a simple knife. They met halfway, boots clanging, debris drifting around them like slow snow. "You are skilled," Karis said. "But you are not winning." Rowan's face stayed flat. "You're right." Karis blinked, thrown off by agreement. Rowan's next line came dry. "I'm leaving." Rowan slammed his cutter into a clamp junction on the docking arm and sliced a cable bundle. Sparks flared bright and brief, and the arm lights flickered. The clamp system stuttered. Karis lunged, but the arm shuddered again and a heavy panel drifted into his path. Karis grabbed the rail, forced to stabilize. Rowan used the opening to leap back toward the ship hatch. "You will be hunted," Karis shouted, anger finally breaking calm. Rowan paused at the hatch edge with one hand on the frame. He looked back, visor reflecting Karis's face. "I was hunted before I learned to walk," Rowan said. Then he pulled himself into the Hallow Finch and slammed the hatch. Inside, Sale was strapped into the co-pilot seat, breathing hard, eyes wide. Rowan dropped into the pilot's seat and keyed the engines. The ship hummed, then shook as it fought the station's shifting clamp geometry. "We cannot detach," Sale said, voice trembling. "The station is moving." Rowan's hands moved fast across controls, not frantic, just decisive. The ship's clamps released one side, then jammed on the other. A warning tone chimed once inside the cockpit. Rowan gritted his teeth and hit a manual override lever. The clamp released with a violent jolt. The ship lurched free, scraped the docking arm, and sent a shower of metal flakes into space. Sale screamed, then bit it off, gripping her straps. Rowan fired thrusters and pulled away from the station as debris spun past the viewport. The relay station rotated unevenly now and shed parts like a wounded animal shaking off blood. Rowan kept the ship steady and guided it through drifting wreckage with tight movements. Sale stared at the station, eyes wet. "They will not stop." Rowan's voice stayed calm. "No." "Then what do we do?" Sale asked. Rowan watched the star field and watched for the next threat. His breathing stayed even, because panic was expensive. A small indicator light blinked on the console. It was not a long message, just a silent truth. A tracking tag had latched onto the Hallow Finch during the escape, hidden in the debris storm, clever and cruel. Sale saw Rowan's eyes shift and understood. "They marked us," Sale said. "Yes," Rowan said. "I am sorry," Sale said, voice cracking. Rowan glanced at her, and his face stayed unreadable, but his tone softened by a fraction. "Don't be. You will pay for me," Sale said. Rowan's reply was quiet and steady. "I already decided to." Outside, the dwarf planet's gray curve rolled beneath them, indifferent. The Hallow Finch pushed into open space, small against the vastness, carrying 2 lives and a secret someone wanted erased. Rowan's hand stayed firm on the controls as the stars shifted. Behind them, far beyond the station's shadow, a new ship light flared for a heartbeat, then vanished, as if the darkness itself had blinked. If you want to hear what happens next, please like this story and share it with someone who loves sci-fi. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next chapter, because the hunt has only just begun.